welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first video of mine that you are seeing. If you are new here, my name is Julia Kelsey. I'm 25 years old. I live in Orlando, Florida, and I have a budgeting and money management coaching business that I started over on Instagram, but have brought over to YouTube as well. And this is where I show and share with others that budgeting and money management can be simple and something that's actually enjoyable, and help people get to the place where they're easily accomplishing their financial goals while still being able to live a life that they enjoy. So today's video is going to be another budget with me, this time for the month of August. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what I expect my August to look like budget-wise, what I expect my income to be, my expected expenses, and what goals I plan to work towards. And as always, I will be showing you my budgeting template in this video, and if you like these trackers and think they might work for you, I do sell them individually on my website for just $10, and that includes the budgeting template I'll show you today, as well as a bunch of other trackers. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the link in the description, and all of these templates are always included in any of my coaching packages as well. So let's take a look at my budget for the month of August. So starting with my income, like normal, I have the different components blocked out for privacy, but in total I expect to have $4,550 come in August. And this might be a little bit optimistic, but we saw a couple months ago in June, when it was a 5-week month, that my income was a lot higher than I had originally expected. And August being a 5-week month, again, I'm kind of expecting that same pattern to continue. So I'm estimating a little bit more in line with what happened in June and the additional income from having that extra week. And then moving on to my expenses, starting with my fixed expenses. So these are the bills that don't really change much month to month. They're usually coming out on the same day and are normally the same amount, so they're pretty predictable. So I'll run through these pretty quickly because a lot of them are really similar to my previous budget with me. However, we did have a couple changes in this area, so I'll talk about them as we get to them. So the first one is my rent, and this is going to be $1,760. I do live in a luxury building in downtown Orlando, so this is reflective of that. Also, I did just re-sign my lease, and as we can expect, that caused the rent to rise. So this is probably the final amount that it's going to be for the next 12 months. I kind of had a couple months where I was going back and forth as the transition was happening, but this is going to be the final number moving forward, so that's $1,760. The next one is just my normal car payment of $303 that I have every month. And then my next one is my Wi-Fi, and this is one of the ones that changed. This increased by $10. So when I first moved into this apartment, I got like a promotional with Spectrum for my Wi-Fi, and that finally ended after 2 years. So this increased just by $10, so now it's $44.99. And then the next one is another one that changed. This was my gym membership at a Crunch Fitness, and I did end up canceling this. It was only $10, so I wasn't too concerned about how frequently I was going because it wasn't too large of an expense. But for pretty much this entire year, I have not been going consistency with all the transitions that I've been making in my life, and I was coming to realize that it just wasn't worth it, especially with having an apartment gym. If I'm only going to be going like once, maybe twice a week, I can just go to the apartment gym, even though I really did love that Crunch gym. So when things cool down and I might start going more regularly again, I might consider bringing it back, but for now I ended up canceling this, so just no payment here. And then the other fitness membership that I did keep was my Orange Theory Fitness. This is just the basic membership where you get 4 classes a month, and that is $69. That is the same as normal. Another one that's a little bit of a change is my business subscriptions. So I have all of my business finances separate. This was just one of the things that I kind of have lost track of because I used my personal card when I first set these things up long time ago, and they never got transferred over. So I finally transferred these over so they're with my business finances and not within my personal stuff. So those have been moved from this budget as well. And then obviously the subscriptions that I would keep in my personal budget, first is Amazon Music, that's $565 like normal. And then Hulu, this is basically like my cable. I don't have any other streaming or cable services, so this is its normal $80. And then iTunes, that's $2.99 just for extra storage on like my phone for photos and videos and stuff like that. And then finally, these last two do fluctuate just a little bit because they're based on usage. However, I do have a really good estimate of them, and they do happen every single month, so that's why I still consider them fixed expenses. The first one being utilities, so I'm estimating that to be about $158 in August. And then insurance, this is mostly my car insurance, but also like $13 of this is renter's insurance as well. And then moving on to my variable expenses, these are the ones that are going to fluctuate a little bit more month to month, and this is where you're doing a lot of your daily spending, so also where you're going to want to keep the closest eye on to make sure everything's staying on track. So the first one is eating out, and since the beginning of the year pretty much I've been doing $40 a week in this category. So with the 5-week month, that would be $200, so I plan to just keep continuing that in August. And then similarly for auto, this is obviously my gas category, and then I'll use this to pay tolls if I have to, but mainly gas. And again, I'm going to do $40 a week in this category as well, so again $200. I have noticed in my past couple of budgets that I have been slightly over budget in this category by about $20-ish, so I did consider increasing this, but I have also noticed that prices have gone down a little bit. So I think I'm going to give it one more month doing $40 a week, see how that works this month, and then if I find that I'm still over budget, I'll go ahead and increase in September. And then the next one is my groceries category. This is for HelloFresh boxes as well as just my normal grocery trips every other week. And I always do $300 a month in this category. That allows me to get like 2 to 3 boxes of HelloFresh. I don't tend to get one every single week, but I do enjoy getting them just because it's easier to cook for just one person. And then every other trips to the grocery store for Diet Cokes, breakfast items, anything like that. And the last category is my miscellaneous. So this really just encompasses everything that doesn't fall within those other 3. So just those little expenses that pop up throughout the month. And I normally do $50 a month, and I'm doing that again in August. And then I do have one other line item here, and this is my checking account cushion. This is money that I have just sitting in my checking account in case bills come out higher than expected, or I have an unexpected expense that I need money readily available for. And I already have a decent buffer going here, so I don't normally budget to put anything towards this, but if I do have just $1 or $2 left over at the end of the month, I'll usually stick it here to add to that buffer. So in total, I expect my expenses in August to be $3,303. And then moving on to my sinking fund. So as a reminder, sinking funds are like mini savings accounts where you're setting aside a little bit of money each month for a particular larger expense or maybe an unexpected expense that you know will come up at some point, but you may not know when and you might not know how much it will be. So you're kind of preparing ahead of time for those types of expenses. So my first one is clothes/beauty. This is pretty straightforward. Just any clothing, beauty, skincare, makeup, anything like that would fall under this category. And this is one where the past couple of months my spending has definitely been increasing in this category. Back in May, I went to a wedding and ended up spending a lot of money in this area. So right now I'm really just focusing on replenishing that amount, getting this category out of the negative and building a buffer back up in it. So this category really is my priority outside of like the rainy day funds that I'm funneling all of my extra money to. So in August, I plan to put $100 into this account. And then the next category is my fun category. This is for like entertainment and going out type purchases. I haven't been doing a lot of spending in this category. However, I do expect them to slightly pick up in the next couple of months because this is the category I use to buy like football tickets, which I do go to somewhat regularly. But for right now, I'm not budgeting to put anything towards this in August just so I can focus on a couple of those other categories, and then hopefully can start putting a little bit more money into this in the next couple of months as those expenses come up. And then the next one is holiday/gifts. This is mainly my Christmas budget, so I hope to have $600 by December to spend on Christmas gifts, and this is where I'm saving that money. So that would just be $50 a month to get me to that $600. And then I do use this category for like birthday gifts or any other kind of gifts that I would need to purchase. So if I do that, then I will allocate a little bit extra to this category to make sure that I still can get that $600 by December. And then the next category is my household category. This again hasn't been a very high priority for the first half of the year, so I'm not budgeting to put anything towards this in August. However, this is another one where there have been some purchases running around that I do want to consider buying. So I would need to start allocating to this category to have the funds available for these purchases. I know I'm going to want to buy some fall candles. I'm considering getting a new vacuum, and then just some organizational things that I've wanted for around the apartment. So to make those purchases, I do want to start allocating, even if it's just $10 a month to this category. So that's something that I will consider in the next couple of months. And then the next one is Nico's category. So anything that I would need to purchase for Nico, his vet visits, food, toys, medications, anything like that would fall under this category. I normally do like 75 to 85 in this category per month, and in August I'm actually going to do 100 because I know his big Chewy order is going to come out in September, and this category is pretty low, so I want to make sure I have enough available for that purchase when it comes out. And then the next category is car maintenance, so any routine or emergency maintenance that I would need on my car. And we know that this category has had a lot going on since the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, I did have a really decent buffer in this category, and that quickly went down to zero after a bunch of different expenses kind of came up at once. So now we are finishing paying off for one more purchase, which was the wheel alignment. I did a payment plan with no interest for that, so I have like 2 more months of payments for that, and then we will slowly start building that buffer back up. So I'm doing $75 in this account, which will cover that payment for the wheel alignment. And then the next one is my medical category. This is another just kind of in case category, in case I needed to go to urgent care or purchase a prescription. I just like to have a buffer in that area for those types of expenses. And this one I do have somewhat of a decent buffer. It's just under $100 going. So for right now, I'm not going to put anything towards this. At the beginning of the year, I was just putting like $10 a month in there, and I definitely will start doing that again after I get the buffer built back up in some of these other categories. But for right now, I'm just not going to worry about it, so I can focus everything on those other categories. And then another one that I'm not worrying about right now, but I do have on my list, is my tech category. Talked about this a lot. This is the category that I used to purchase this camera at the end of last year. It got quite negative, so I took a little bit from my emergency fund to make it positive again. And anything that I put in this category for the rest of the year, I was just going to put back into my emergency fund. So that's not going to be anything in August, but if I happened to have anything left over and put it here, it would just go back to my emergency fund. And the next two are just yearly bills. Just bills that I pay every year instead of every month. However, I do set aside for them monthly, so when that larger expense comes comes up, I have the money readily available. So the first one is Amazon Prime, and I just do $10 a month for this. And then I did have one other one. So I had my Crunch renewal, so the yearly renewal for Crunch. But since I canceled that membership, I will not have to worry about paying for this. So I don't have anything in this category either. So in total, I expect to put $335 towards my sinking fund in August. And then the next category is my savings category, and I just have one item here, and it's almost like another debt item. So this is my student loan fund, and this is a savings account where I put $15, $20, $25, anything that I have left over at the end of a month, I'll accumulate in the savings account, and then this is the money that I will use to make extra student loan payments. I'm not budgeting to put anything towards this in August. However, any money that I have left over at the end of the month, specifically if I'm able to have more income come in, this will be the first place that it goes. And then the next section is my debt section. So this is just my student loan minimum payment. So it's the $911.45 that I expect to pay every month. So we can see that budgeted here. And that brings us to the overview section. So this is the section where I can see that I've accounted for every single one of my dollars that I expect to come in. I've given every single one of them a purpose and a job, and they're going out somewhere. So we can see a green 0. So I know that every dollar has been accounted for, and my budget is ready for the month of August. So that is it for my budget with me for August. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And if you did, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can see more videos like this from me. Also, go follow me over on Instagram so you can see content from me in between YouTube videos. And with that, I will see you guys on the next one.